Oh, we had him here a while ago. There he is. Mr. Heck, all right. So this is case 2569. So let me put you under oath here while I've got you, Ms. Griffith, and raising your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Heck, you got to come back. Mr. Heck, start your video and unmute. You got to stay with us. You having trouble with your video? You got to stay with us.
Just pushed the wrong button, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Raise your right hand, Mr. Heck. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, so again, let's see, 2569, and I'm looking back and forth here. I've got a couple of screens and our file is electronic, so I will be listening. I'm just looking at the file. So that open. So Mr. Heck, you're here. I'm wondering, did you receive the petition that was filed in this case, the temporary restraining order, all the discovery?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did you get that?
Last Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, so 25th or 26th?
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't have proof in the file that you were given notice. All right. And are you prepared to respond to this today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Griffith, you're still asking for this order to continue against Mr. Heck?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Heck, do you object to this order being issued?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So let me just re-review and refamiliarize myself with this before I start taking testimony.
So while she's looking, I'm gonna go ahead and mention it. This Thurston County hearing, there was so much craziness in there. There was so much oddness. It was hard to pick which one to show. So I actually pulled the shortest one out of the mix. Most of them were 45 minutes to an hour long, and I don't have the patience or the brainwidth for that or bandwidth, and so we picked a short one. This one here is a boyfriend girlfriend that
So
can't let
let
it
me
go.
turn first to Ms. Griffith. Again, I've re-reviewed statement, a couple of screenshots, it looks like, of text message reminders that you filed along with your petition. And all right, so what would you like to tell me about why the court should issue this order?
So he moved out in November. We kind of saw each other. And then on my birthday, which was February 19th, got in an argument, asked him to leave. I left my house because I didn't want to be there. Came back, all of our personal items was on my porch. From there until I filed, I would see him multiple times a day, drive by my house, watching my house. Like he saw a friend of mine come over at 8:30 in the morning and then started with his messaging. I blocked him on social media, then the text messages, then multiple emails. My job has been compromised. I've been informed by my corporate position that I very well may get fired over the screenshots of behavior of one of my staff members that I talked to him about during our relationship. I mean, all in all, ever since this complete split up, I have just been unable to leave my house, unable to work really, because I have to be very careful with how I perform my job at this point. My whole life has been compromised over this behavior.
So how long you were in a relationship then?
Yes.
Mr. Heck, how long was that?
We lived together for 8 years or so.
Okay. And there was prior domestic violence committed against you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we had that. There was there was an agreement, I think it was the city of Lacey, and that case was dismissed after Mr. Heck went through what we needed to do there.
Yes.
But that was founded, probable cause was founded there. And then, so then November 24th of 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's when he
got his own house with his kids.
All right. And so did you have separate separate houses then?
Yes.
Okay. So you had, either he had moved out of your house into a new place.
He moved out of
Okay. All right. And then what was the nature of the relationship at that point?
We were still seeing each other, trying to make it work, but it wasn't working. As the longer the time went on, the less amount of time we spent together. Like for when he came over on my birthday, which was February 19th, unannounced, by the way, the main complaint was that I hadn't contacted him for 3 days. But at that point, why would I? I mean, I don't know your plans. I don't know what you want, but you can't assume my life is going to continue on what you want.
So February 19th, he comes to your home, and that seems to be the final.
Like the breaking point. Yeah, it's my birthday. He's yelling at me. I didn't contact him for 3 days. Well, dude, you could have picked up the phone. Also, ended up asking him to leave my house.
Okay, and he did?
He did. And then when I came back from whatever, I can't remember, I think I went and got breakfast or something, all of our personal items were on my porch.
So as if they were,
Like
your
everything
thought
that,
was that Mr. Heck delivered your personal items to your porch?
Yep.
Okay.
And then made it very clear that we weren't going to be seeing each other, because why would all of our private stuff, my lotion, everything that was his house, why would it be dumped on my porch otherwise?
Okay, and then, so then February 19th and after, because he came to the court middle of March,
Yes.
so something happened.
So I got really uneasy. My friend came over. We were going to go to Costco. I immediately got a text message after he came over saying, I have a new boyfriend. I broke his heart, this and that.
Was that what the exhibits that you filed
Yes,
here?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, new man, you wanted to break my heart.
Yeah.
And so that was all March 10th,
Yeah.
it says, is that right?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't immediately after. It was a few weeks after when we were going to go to Costco, me and my friends. So.
Okay, so around March 10th is when things started.
Yeah, and in between
Making-
February 19th and March 10th, I'd see him drive by my house multiple times a day. I had to get a new security system because his phone number and email were the contacts, so all the notification.
So driving by your house, so do you live on, I mean, in a neighborhood, a cul-de-sac, what?
I live in a neighborhood, and the neighborhood he lives in is a different neighborhood. There's multiple other ways to get to where he was going. It'd be an intentional like drive by my house type situation.
Right? And so driving by, any stopping, any parking, anything of that
No,
nature?
nothing like that. Odd things would happen since like February and March. Like I went to the coffee stand, the girl who makes my coffee told me this big long story about how I'm cheating on him and this and that. And I went, okay, that's cool. Can I, have my coffee? I stopped by Yamaha to pick up my bike. My friend who was involved in our DV a long time ago told me he stopped by a couple of times. I'm like, great. So the places I go, the people that I know there are telling me things that are making me concerned, because I just want to not be bothered. I don't want my kids to be scared. My ex that I have a daughter with called me because they wanted to go to her soccer game, and I'm like, no.
Okay, so let me go back.
But I feel like I shouldn't have had to block on multiple email address, multiple social medias, and multiple text messages to be left alone and compromising my job. I have a once in a lifetime job. If I lose my current job, my salary will never be the same. It's demographically related to where I work.
How is your job being compromised? I don't understand what you're doing and what you're alleging he's doing.
So one of my good friends that I'm not friends with anymore is now my staff member. We were coworkers, and now I'm her direct boss. And over the years, I've talked to him about her behavior, the way she's treated me, things we've done together, things like that. He screenshotted all of that over and sent it to her, and it went immediately to HR. And I work for a corporation, and now I have a conflict of interest at my job.
And when was that done?
I believe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I filled out my paperwork Thursday, the week before I filed. That's when my job gave me that information.
Okay, so that's probably what pushed you to come to court?
That and the having to get a new security system, calling my ex about my daughter's soccer game to go to my daughter's events and things like that. Like, I can't have you compromising my job and my kids. It was one thing when you were just bothering me, but like watching my cameras, seeing people come in my house, like what is the chances at 8:30 in the morning you would see somebody come over so we could go to Costco at 10?
All right, so the screenshots from texts you're saying that you had with Mr. Heck during your relationship about this person you're supervising, that was sent to the Human Resources Department of your
to my staff member, and then she's elevated. Yeah.
Okay. And then that went to human resources, and now here we are.
Yeah.
And so was this information, was this old information?
It's,
Was
yeah,
this
it's several,
recent
it's
information?
old information, but it
Like
was just
how
a,
old?
at least a year.
Okay,
So me and her were friends for 3 years. And then I told her when I was going for this position, if I get hired on this position, our friendship is going to have to change and be work related only. So at least from probably December, January prior for 3 years.
okay. All right, so your impression is that Mr. Heck sent that and he would have had to look back, collect it, and then send it on to the person that you're a supervisor of.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then driving by. So how do you know that
I can see his car. I can see him in his car.
when you're in your home, or
Well-
is this when you're reviewing?
No, I don't
Okay.
review it. It just happened to like go in and out of my house, and I'm like, oh, cool, there he is driving by again. Oh, I'm on my bike leaving. Oh, here we are. Oh, I'm turning in to go to my house. Here he is at the stop sign. Like just
Okay.
actual physical me seeing with my eyes, not reviewing the camera footage.
And this is the house that you formerly shared?
Correct.
Okay. So looking, so that's the Golf Club Road.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And does that butt up against the Elm Highway?
No, ma'am.
Where's that?
It's like Pacific Avenue's the roundabout, and then College Street is the next street over behind
Okay,
me.
got
So
it.
it is a neighborhood. It's not on a main road. It's a side road off of a main road.
All right. Looking through your information, see if I have some other questions.
And then like there's been other things, like I was removed from my kid's Skyward account and he put himself as the guardian, so I had to go fix that.
So, yeah, I did have a question about that. So that's the schools?
That's the
system?
schools, and we don't have any shared children. So
And
I had
what is that system for? It's
so
for,
it's for conferences, grading, absences, how they're doing, emergencies, who's in charge of them. And so I had to go resubmit all the paperwork for me and my daughter's father, and then me and my mom, because we take care of my disabled son. So I had to do it for multiple schools.
why do you attribute that to Mr. Heck?
Because I was removed from guardian and he was put on primary when I went to the school. That's what
For
they,
a daughter that is not biologically his?
Yeah,
or
I
he's
don't know
not a
what-
Guardian of?
yeah, no, there's no, so anything related to him and my kids. So I don't know why that happened, but when I went to the school, that's what they told me is he's the guardian. He has a daughter that's in school, so I don't really know what happened, but I know that I had to go and prove that I was the parent to my children, get them to reinstate my Skyward and remove him as guardian from both of my kids.
And he has some kids at the same school?
He has one kid at the high school my son goes to. So it was really unrelevant to the elementary school my daughter goes
All
to.
right, so it's the elementary school, all
Yeah.
right. So this threat, you say to send personal videos and photos that you shared over 8 years. What's that about?
So he sent me an email after I blocked him on text messages and social media and whatnot, saying something along the lines as if I talk to anybody about him, he's gonna share those personal stuff to everybody and he's not scared and he's ready, and a bunch of nonsense like that. And then my coworker started getting the private messages him and I sent. But I mean, like after he left our personal intimate items on my porch and then sent me that email.
Okay.
And
And
then,
then
like-
knowledge, have any of your personal information that you shared together been released to anyone?
I don't
Haven't
know.
heard.
I haven't heard back, but it's a
Okay.
very touchy situation at this point.
Okay. So when you talk about blocking him on texts and social media, so you tell me about that.
So like we weren't talking, and then I would get a message and I'm like, I'm not dealing with this, block. So I block on one platform, then I get a text message, block on that platform. Then I'd get an email, block on that platform. Then I'd get another email from a different email address, blocked. Then I got a call from a phone in his daughter's name, block. Like,
I'm gonna jump in and say thank you for the big and raid and give everybody a heads up of what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with 2 adults that need guardian ad litem to help them be adults, to help them act like adults with each other. We've got they were together for 8 years and don't know how to walk away. So Thank you, Big and Raiders, for coming over. We appreciate you. Maiko, I got it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Let's jump in and finish this one up. Thank you again, Big and Raiders. Thank you, Biggin.
And this was sometime after the 10th.
Yeah, it was like from like February 19th to like March 10th-ish. Since he's been served with the temporary order, I have heard no nonsense, but I can't allow the door to open and the flood comes in. Because I've already been very compromised in my life.
Judge Wilcox is just having a fun time trying to figure out how to make these people be adults with each other. Now, her story sounds crazy.
On March 11th about getting.
Let me pause it there. I don't want to talk over her. Her story seems crazy, but then you get to hear his and you get to hear some of the dumbness coming out of his mouth and you realize they deserve each other. They should just stay together.
Things out of the garage. Is that?
There's nothing in the garage. There's a broken TV. He moved out in November. He's already taken all his stuff. Those are just things he wants and to get access to my house, I believe. And there's a broken TV. Cool. Because that's like December, January, February since we started fighting. That was 3 months to get all your stuff out.
Okay. Anything else before I turn to Mr. Heck?
The only thing I think that sparked off the sending the things out is because about 8 years ago when we got together, his ex-wife said that I was his cheating partner and I was mean to her, and I told her I was sorry and I hope she had a good life from here on out, and that his behavior was unhinged in reflection to what she sent me, 8 years ago, saying that he's cheating on her with me. So I think that.
So recently you had contact with her, you mean?
Yeah, because they moved out and I apologized to her and moved on.
Okay.
That was all.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Heck, then there's been a temporary order issued on behalf of Ms. Griffith, and you've had an opportunity to look at all the information then here today. Then I turn to you about why the court shouldn't issue this order.
Well, one, there's a lot of falsities to what was just said. There was one email sent from my detailwithclass@gmail.com, which was the only one which I believe was submitted for evidence. That was the only email I sent. Yes, I did call Dakota's father because my daughter wanted to actually go watch her play soccer and say hi to her.
Dakota is
her daughter.
Griffith's daughter, and you contacted Dakota's
Mr.
father,
Strode.
okay?
So my daughter could go say hi to her and watch her play a soccer game. It wasn't for myself.
Okay, and so you agree there was that contact, but it was one contact in order for your kid to play with another kid. Or go
Correct.
see a
My
soccer.
daughter's 18, but they've been together for 7 years, and she just wanted to go see her and say hi. And originally I had blocked everything on Facebook.
If she's 18, why is it necessary for you to intercede with her father?
I asked Danielle's child's father if my daughter could come to the park and watch her play. At which point he said, I can't talk to you. I have to go.
Okay. But she was 18. She could have gone on her own without you interceding.
I just wanted to ask. I didn't want her just to go over there.
Okay. All right. And that was, let's see, I'm looking at, you mentioned the exhibits that were filed here, and you said, yes, you did send that one email that was March 10th.
Correct.
Okay.
I believe it was March 11th,
right.
8:41 p.m.
Okay. I'm just looking at this. It says March 10th sometimes. Yeah, and then there's other ones. So there's one appears to be from you. You wanted to break my heart. That's the March 10th, I think. At least
That's
it's
a text
titled
message.
that. And then I have nothing of yours be reaching out for restraining order. So that appears to be from Ms. Griffith. And then maybe a response, can't believe you could spew. Is that yours?
Correct.
March 11th. Okay. And this was soon after. And then something about cinder blocks and the TV and stuff. When was that?
Correct. I submitted some photos and text messages to the email, which has a photo that states it's a pile of my belongings, which includes a floor jack, a chop saw, oil pan, a truck bed unloader, and a few other random things that were piled in the garage, which were stated by her.
Okay. And so you moved out or got your own place in November?
Correct. She, November 21st of 2023, she insinuated I was, and I will quote, fucking my daughter. At which point there's also text messages submitted that she calls my daughter my wife, and how cute it was that I was getting my wife coffee at the coffee stand. And yes, the text message I sent to her friend was retaliation for her reaching out to my kids' mother, who she had no association with at all.
And we talked about the friend, the one that she's supervising at her job. So,
Correct. I stated that maybe she should know exactly what she thinks of her friends.
all right.
And stopped at Yamaha, I'm a business owner, and I stopped in to do a
Let me
delivery.
ask you about the school account here. Anything about that?
Yes, I was labeled as legal guardians on hers, and she was labeled as legal guardian on my daughter.
Okay, so
Somewhere
we
in the
hear
school
from
system.
Ms. Griffith that she had to unwind all that. Do you know what happened there?
It's been like that for years. She was the legal guardian on my daughter's account, and apparently I was the legal guardian on her account. I had to go to the high school as well.
All right. Did you do anything with the school and say, take my name off of that account?
I did not touch anything with hers.
Okay, all right. And then the driving by.
Yes, Your Honor. I take college to 22nd by Mountain View Elementary. I go to golf club. I turn left on 14th, and then I turn right on Sleater Kinney and go to the coffee stand I've been going to for the last 5 years.
Okay. So
That is my
takes you,
morning routine.
that takes you past her house.
I used to go down that road all the way. I stopped going down her road, and I turned the stop sign before her block.
Okay, and when did you stop doing that?
When I seen the gentleman walking into her house, and
When
yes,
was that?
March 3rd.
Okay, so early March, all right. And I kind of interrupted you a few times. Anything else you want to tell me?
I do have a character witness. I believe she's here about some of the
Where?
statements that were made on the Zoom call.
Oh, okay. A character witness. So just to say that you're a good person?
Somebody who
Or-
knows about the claim from
Okay.
beating her up.
Well, you mean the assault charge that was
Correct.
before this court? That's been founded and you went through the program, it looks like, and you got that dismissed.
Correct.
And that's how I see it. I don't need to go plow that anymore. There's already been a previous probable cause finding by the court. There was a court action. You went through the program and then that was dismissed. So I don't need to hear any more about that. That has been founded.
But I mean,
Is
it's
there
also,
anything else that witness would be testifying to?
she can be a character witness for my character since the time that I've left.
Yeah.
I have had
This-
no contact, and I have made it very clear that I didn't want to be part of her life.
Who is it that's here on your behalf?
Shelley.
Is Shelley? I don't see anyone on Zoom.
She may have had to go.
Okay,
I had a couple others as well, but they had to go to work. So
okay. All right, well, it wouldn't be relevant to go tread any information from the assault. And character evidence, not really relevant here either. If that's all she was gonna speak to, if she had some information as to a witness, but she's not present any longer. All right, anything else, Mr. Heck?
Yeah, I have no problem with a no contact order. That's perfectly fine, but I don't see a
I thought
reason
you
to.
objected to that. When I
What's
asked
that?
you earlier, you said you objected to the court issuing this order.
I do, but at times it seems that it's the contact part of it and just being a civil human being. If that's the case, then no contact would be both ways. My personal thought is a cease and desist both ways about our names in anybody's lives and keeping us separate and not having anything said about either one of us. As far as photos go, we can delete photos. She also has photos of myself.
All right.
And as far as
Well-
the sex toys and things like that went, it wasn't like I just dropped them off on the porch. I wrapped them up in a yellow bag. I tied it and I set all of her personal belongings on the front step and left.
So, all right, and then,
I'm gonna stop in there and just mention this right here. This describes how much of different relationships there are. I am certain that if I showed my butt and walked down on Emily, I am certain that she would not, wrap up all my property and, protecting all that. I would literally see some people out there hauling it off to the landfill. She would. I guess this lady's a lot nicer than my wife. My wife would want to see destruction. She'd want to see pain. So
this allegation of as you said, you've mentioned it there, that neither one of you should reveal information that was part of your relationship to anyone else.
Correct.
That has been preserved on emails or texts, so. Okay. So, anything else, Mr. Heck?
Nope.
I'm just looking through things real quick here. So, Ms. Griffith, you did not include Dakota. That's your daughter?
Yes.
You didn't include any children on your petition. Is that purposeful?
No, I just didn't know because she wasn't our child together.
Okay. And she's how old?
She's almost 10.
Oh, okay. Any other kids under 18?
My son is 17, Deegan.
Okay. But so this,
Up until the soccer thing, he wasn't bothering them. It was strictly directed towards me.
okay,
And there was
Alright.
no like family bothering or anything, but
all right. Okay, so Mr. Heck, given the information you gave to the subordinate that also went up to the Human Resources Department, obviously you had to kind of dig that up, very intentionally collect that, very intentionally supply that, with an intent to harass. And given the court has to consider, there has been a previous finding of domestic violence committed against Ms. Griffith by you. However, fortunately, you've taken that course of treatment and that's been dismissed. So I do find that there's sufficient evidence here under the law to issue this order protecting Ms. Griffith from you. And I'll sign off on that order. And I think you said it very well, no contact of any kind. Now, Ms. Griffith, that's up to you to counsel your children and to be
yes,
there.
ma'am.
You've got one who's old enough, one that you are in charge of, who they have contact with. I'll leave that to you. And so, Mr. Heck, then I'm going to say that now, if I understand, you both have kids at the high school.
Yes.
Is that right? Do you both have kids at the elementary school?
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
So there are events at the high school.
My son doesn't attend events at the high school, so
He might graduate, he might go to school.
Yeah, he
might
goes
have to have
to
something
school,
there,
but
and his children there. So what I'm going to do here is just say, what high school is that?
North Thurston, ma'am.
North Thurston. All right. So what I'm going to say is, Mr. Heck, you're to stay 1,000 feet away from Miss Griffith, from her home or workplace, wherever you know she is. However, I'm going to make an exception here that this does not, it's not a violation if you're at North Thurston High School for your children's events.
Thank you.
So,
My question, Your Honor,
Yep.
is if I'm out eating and she shows up, am I in violation of the order then?
no, Miss Griffith, if she walks into the restaurant and you're seated and having your meal, then Miss Griffith asked for this order. She should then abide by the order she asked for, saying that she is concerned for her safety from you and not go there. So let me write this up, and then this will be in the court file. Mr. Heck, you can access that, or you can contact my clerks and they'll assist you with that. And then we're going to hand Ms. Griffith a hard copy here today, unless you just want to receive it by email.
Email's fine.
All right, then that's the end of the hearing, and you can both be on your way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, people. He'll either be at the school, or he knows where she eats. He knows where she goes around, and he'll make sure he's always there. He'll make sure he's always right there in front of her, and that way she's just pure miserable. He's an odd one. I didn't care. Her story was kind of goofy, but his story was creepy. So, she won my vote on that one. All right. Let's see. Let's go. Judge McNally had the dog case again. A week or two ago, we had a guy violating dogs, wouldn't keep his dogs in the yard, and sure enough, the guy shows back up in court again today. So let's go to that one.
Oh, we had him here a while ago. There
Uh-oh.
he is. Mr. Heck?
It threw my video there. That's all right. I have become professional at messing up. I can find it quick. How about that? There we go.
People against James Robert Adams, file number 25B823708 and 82371. Mr. Mullen, why don't you and your client come on up to the podium? Walk at the podium, please. Good morning. Your name?
Caitlin Polycar, I'm in Fresno Township.
Good morning, Your Honor. Robert Mullen on behalf of Mr. James Robert Adams, to my right.
James Robert Adams. All right. So your client pled guilty to dog at large as a misdemeanor under section 771.1. That was last week. I believe that was on the 27th. We set the sentence date. He also pled responsible to no dog license. And I believe all the cases against Ms. Langmeyer were dismissed, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, counsel, I didn't order a pre-sentence report. What would you like to say?
Just briefly, Your Honor. I start off with my client has no prior criminal history. He's grown up in this community, Your Honor. He went to high school at Flat Rock. He's raised his family in this community. He and his wife own a business together. I give him a lot of respect. He works every day with his wife. They've done that for over 8 years. They have a venture glass cleaning business. They're very successful, very busy.
What kind of business?
Glass cleaning.
Okay.
And very hard workers. Every time I talk to them and see them, they're always working, and I've known Mr. Adams for over 25, 30 years. And with that being said, Your Honor, I just a couple brief things. One is Mr. Adams is 100% committed to being compliant with this court's order and obedient to the court's recommendations as well as its orders. And in saying that, Judge, I want this court to know there's never been an allegation of any of his dogs being aggressive towards other dogs or other people in the community. And I'll just be blunt in what I like to say. This is something that has to do an issue with a neighbor. It's a personal vendetta this neighbor has specifically against him. And why do I say that? It's not about a dog off leash. It's about Jim Adams's dog being off leash. He knows that he has to comply with the law. I'm not saying those things to make it sound like it's not important or, you know, this doesn't matter, but I think that's true. One of the things that I would ask this court is, my client is a hunter. Those dogs are hunting dogs. He trains them and uses them to hunt. My assumption would be that the court's limitations on like being out of his yard and stuff off his property, none of that would apply to if the dogs are actually in a hunting or hunting training capacity on land designated for that. We're not talking about walking through his neighborhood on my way to go hunt. All right. So I want to put that out there, and I'm assuming the court wouldn't have a problem with that. But if the court does, I want to address it now because Mr. Adams does not want any future problems regarding the dog being off leash. Additionally, Your Honor, you know, Mr. Adams is in the process of getting the testing necessarily that's been requested. He's got an appointment with a Dr. Greer at the Woodhaven Animal Hospital to get whatever's necessary to qualify for the license. The one dog has all his shots up to date. The other dog is going through a different medical procedure for qualification for the registration. Why? I could show the dog, show this court as well as the prosecutor medically the issues with getting the dog just vaccinated. There's been extreme health problems with the dog when it was originally vaccinated, and the doctor's working on a different process so that we can meet the qualifications.
As long as the dog is registered within 30 days, licensed, and the only way it can be licensed is if it has its shots, right?
If it has the antibody, if it has either the shots or the qualifies as if it had the shots. The doctor is doing a testing that's called titers testing, and it will allow the veterinarian to qualify the dog based on its antibodies to rabies. And so we're doing everything we can on that right now. I know what this court wants, and that's what we're working towards, Your Honor.
Let's talk about, well, first of all, do you have any thoughts, Ms. Foley Carter, on what Mr. Mullen just said?
Yeah, our ordinance is pretty specific that in order to obtain a license, the dog must be vaccinated for rabies.
So that's the issue, and I'm going to expect that done.
Well, Your Honor, when you say vaccinated for rabies, dogs are vaccinated in order to obtain the antibodies so they don't get rabies. And what we're doing is making sure that the dog qualifies by having the antibodies.
Listen, I'm not getting into all this. I'm just telling you the dog has to be licensed within, all dogs in that house have to be licensed within 30 days. And that means they have to have rabies shots, period. I'm not going to have an argument in 30 days about whether or not this dog is capable of being vaccinated because of other issues. It's just not.
Judge, I would ask this though of the court, and I think there is room for this discussion.
I'm not the ordinance officers. I'm just going to order the dogs be licensed within 30 days, and they have their set of requirements that require that. And if I think that they're not licensed within 30 days for whatever reason, we're going to have a violation hearing.
I can deal with that. But one other thing, Judge, when I took this plea and we talked about it, you said, as long as my clients are trying to do the right thing, you'll give them a little grace in that process. You did say that to me.
Wait a second. I recall the conversation. You and I and Ms. Foley Carter met in chambers.
Correct.
The stipulated plea agreement here says
Within 30 days.
Must register and obtain license for all animals in the home within 30 days. I didn't promise I wouldn't violate if they don't have a license within 30 days for whatever reason. I was talking, I don't know in what context you're talking about that I said that.
You want me to repeat it, Your Honor?
Yeah, absolutely.
We were talking in chambers. And while it's not on the record, specifically was mentioned, look, because I started to tell you about the titers test and this and that. And you said, listen, let them do what they need to do to get these dogs registered. If I see that they're working at it in good faith, I'll work with them. That's all you said, Judge. You didn't say you wouldn't violate them in 30 days. I don't want to misrepresent what was said. I just want you to know that they're on it. They've got an appointment for this dog at the vet to get this handled. We're working in that direction. These are law-abiding people, even though it doesn't seem that way in this context with these dogs and off-leash list charges. But I really do believe Mr. Adams and Ms. Langmeyer are going to be able to get things done and satisfy the animal control that they're doing all the things to protect the community based on what's necessary to register these dogs.
I want to make sure I understand what your position is, Ms. Foley Carter. What you want me to order is in accordance with the stipulated plea agreement. I just want to repeat it. If they have to register and obtain licenses for all animals in the home within 30 days, that they remain in the residence or in a fenced-in yard or on a leash or lead when outside. That's the extent to which you're asking me to order, correct?
Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. Would you like to say anything?
He's asking you this question. I showed Bob here, my attorney, pictures the last time we had him vaccinated. And the dog broke out. We thought he was gonna die. So he's got a neurological issue right now where he shakes. He sits there and he shakes because of those vaccines. Well, we've done our homework. We started reading on it, what the vaccines do and all these things and all these regulations. And, it's no different than the COVID shot. Everybody had wanted to get vaccinated, right? Now people are the ones that didn't get vaccinated, don't have any issues. The ones that got vaccinated got all kinds of issues.
I got vaccinated. I don't have any issues. I got vaccinated 3 or 4 times. I haven't had any issues.
There's people that have all kinds.
I don't want to get into this.
Reaction.
Hang on. I don't want to get into this anti-vax stuff.
I don't either. I just don't want my dog to die.
Nobody wants your dog to die.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that if the dog is involved in some kind of scruff with another person or a dog, that nobody dies. That rabies that's very serious stuff. And that's what I want to make sure nobody contracts. Now, listen, I want a correction, Mr. Mullen. And I got to tell you, and when you and I had this conversation before, I don't want to hear any more about vendettas. If you do the right things, I don't care who has how many vendettas against you or how many people have vendettas against you. I mean, you can't let your dogs. Now, look, I and my secretary pulled these up. I don't even want to talk about how many times you and your wife have been in here on dog cases. It's ridiculous. I've never seen such a thing. I told her 3-4 years ago, you guys want to have dogs roam around? I think I said, buy a property in Monroe County with 50 or 75 acres. Let the dogs run all over the yard. You can't have them running through subdivisions. And this doesn't sound like a vendetta to me as much as it does. I'm looking at this report. Larry Korozinski provided multiple home surveillance videos of the dogs owned by Adams and Langmeyer, November 24th at 12:18. Both dogs are in the neighbor's property peeing on a tree in the front yard. Both at 5:19 p.m. that same day, both dogs are roaming Adams Langmeyer property until a jogger who's passing the residence is greeted by both dogs in the street. This is on video surveillance. This is what they're telling me. I mean, if this guy or whoever's filming out this police report, because I saw people shaking their head over here, whoever's filling out the police report would be terminated. They'd be fired. If they're telling me they've seen in a report that's provided to the court that they've got a dog on surveillance. Who prepared this report, Ms. Foley Carter, this Animal Control Department report?
Kaylin Anifrat, and I did.
Did you see the video?
I did.
December 1, a delivery driver is parked in front of the Adams Langmeyer residence. One of the dogs is spotted roaming the immediate neighbor's property and near the front easement by the road. The same dog's identified multiple houses away from its residence. December 5, 11:05 a.m. Black dog spotted running from home and cuts through immediate neighbor's property and continues running. December 7. At 3:25 a.m., both dogs leave the Adams-Langmeyer property. Someone from the residence follows. That person seen holding the black dog by the collar to bring them back to the residence. White dog remained untethered. I'm paraphrasing a little. December 8th, 24 at 11:07 a.m., man is walking his two dogs down the street. The black dog that resides at the Langmeyer property runs into the road, approaching the two dogs and the owner. The owner has his dog sit while someone from the Adams-Langmeyer residence walks out to the street to get the black dog back onto the property. December 28th, 3:14. Neighbor next to Adams-Langmeyer residence comes out of home. Black dog and the other white dog leaves the Langmeyer residence to follow neighbor. I don't need to go into the rest of this. But we have laws. Dogs can't roam all over the neighborhood. They might be the most docile dogs in the history of mankind, but this can't go on anymore. I'm just saying, and I don't want to hear any more about how somebody's got a vendetta. I wouldn't have to have a vendetta against somebody. I'd be calling if I saw dogs roaming all over my street like this.
Judge, the reason I say vendetta is because if you look at all those videos, there's a ton of other dogs without leashes on that are not getting, and listen, we have to be responsible for our dogs and be in compliance with the law. But that doesn't mean we can't have an opinion based on independent evidence of other dogs being off leash and it's not being reported because it's between these neighbors. And there's a reason, but look at Judge, my client needs to be obedient with the law. That's what I'm here for. And you have a right to say, hey, we're violating the law. But my vendetta term, it came from a different place of information you're not provided with. And that's, I'll be quiet.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Adams, anything else? I mean, he can say something. You don't have to tell him to say no.
I want him to say no, Judge.
Well, that's fine. But, but I've had it with these dogs. I've had it.
This is a new dog, actually.
I don't care. I don't care. Dogs in your house have been doing this for a long time. I threatened to send your wife to jail last time that she came in here 3 years ago. I'm done with it. I'm telling you, I'm done with it. We don't get to have that done. If you have complaints about other people's dogs, by all means, call the animal control.
Because I don't care.
Well, that might be.
And they were in there today. They walked across my street today. There were dogs this morning.
That might be.
Without a leash on. I don't care.
You cannot defend your actions. I mean, it's like the guys who come in here. I told your lawyer this. I can't believe the police officer wrote me for going 84 in a 70. There were people passing me. He didn't write them. You shouldn't find me responsible here. It's ridiculous. That's not the way the law works. I'm telling you, I'm done with the dogs roaming the street, and I don't care how many dogs are roaming the street. If they start coming in on dog at large cases, I'll deal with them appropriately. This is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous that we're still talking. I don't even want to know how many cases. I've heard about dog at large cases with you and your wife now for years. 12 months probation, section 771.1. You cannot leave the state without the consent of the court. You cannot violate a law or ordinance if you change your address, your place of employment, or home telephone number. You must notify probation. You have to report as directed. You have to register and obtain licenses for all animals in the home within 30 days. I'm not getting into a debate about whether or not vaccination is good or bad for this dog. You have to figure out a way to convince the township that these dogs are going to be licensed, that you've taken all steps to make sure they're adequately licensed within 30 days. They're to remain in your residence or in a fenced-in yard or on a leash or lead when they are outside. No contact with Larry Korasinski. You cannot write, phone, see, text, email, or communicate with him or have anybody else do any of those things for you or on your behalf. Give me 1 second here.
Well, I do. And I'll clarify with the judge.
5 days court work program starting July 31. We're going to have a review hearing.
What was that, Judge?
Listen, let me explain. I'm ordering 5 days on the court work program, which I'm not going to charge him for now. And it's going to be July 31. We're going to have a review hearing date. Well, Lisa, I think you need to give me a day when Brownstown's here.
July 30th.
July 30th. So I'll say beginning, that's a Wednesday, right?
Correct.
All right, so that would make it the 2nd of August for the court work program. That's a Saturday, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, review hearing date will be July 30. And that will be at 8:30 in the morning. And as long as we haven't had any problems, I'm not even going to charge him for those now, Mr. Mullen. He's not going to have to do the court work, but if that dog's running at large and I find out about it, he's doing court work program.
Yes, sir.
100 fines, 150 costs, 75 victims' rights, $50 justice assessment. That's $375. You have probation fees of $240 for $615. We're going to give you a review hearing date here too. And that's, I'm talking about at the end so I can dismiss the case, hopefully. What date will that be? Like, go ahead.
March 25th at 9.
Mr. Adams, I don't have any problem with you. I have no problem with your wife. I have a problem with you guys letting dogs run around, and I don't know what I can do about it except start to get real tough, and I don't want to do that.
No, and I understand, and trust me, I'm done with it too. It's not gonna happen.
All right, thank you. All right, so that's what we'll do. Can he pay this today or does he need time?
No, I think.
All right, so review date, March 25th at 9. Mr. Mullen, unless there's an issue and your representation obviously ends today, I don't think it'll be necessary for you to show up unless there's an issue on July 30, but you
Yes,
guys
sir.
do what you want, okay?
Yes, sir.
So I want to just make a note, first review date, July 30 at 8:30. I'm going to make a note here on the order somewhere. Court work program to be suspended if defendant compliant. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thank
Judge,
you
can I
very much.
approach just for a second?
Sure. Go off the record. Good luck, Mr. Adams.
Judge, I
You'll have
believe
to
there was
talk
a
to
civil
Mr.
infraction.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's 135 on that. I already wrote it down on the civil infraction. So you have to pay 135 on the.
All right. Now, wonder what work court program is. I wonder how that works. You know, everybody in life has a bully, and I think Victoria's decided that she's going to be my bully, and that's fine. I think, you know, if I'm going to have a bully, she has to be under 5 foot tall, and so Victoria fits that. And so now I can just walk around and be sad that a little short lady's being mean to me. All right, we're going to let's jump over to Judge Hayward. She had a really good one. This 10-minute video took me the longest time to edit because the lady that talked on there was so quiet. I had to edit her volume. So if it doesn't sound right to you, we'll just say Lena's messed up the editing on it. So.
All right, Ms. Ramos, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. Is it Yesenia
Yes, ma'am.
Isabel Ramos, 2024 CR 04857. So Ms. Ramos, you're before the court for a petition for revocation of probation. You were before this court and convicted of battery, family violence on the 11th day of June 2024. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 4 months and 29 days remaining. The sentence was told because you failed to report on November 14th, November 18th, November 21st, 2024, and within 10 days of November 22nd, 2024, as you were directed. You last reported on July 1st of 2024. So it looks like you only did essentially one report. You failed to document proof of enrolling and participating in the Family Violence Intervention Program, and you're $50 in arrears. All right, so Mr. Taylor, what's going on?
Your Honor, Ms. Ramos has had some difficulties with her boyfriend again with him, basically
The
stealing.
one she was probably not supposed to have any contact with?
My understanding is that there was
Yeah.
modification that would allow her contact. However, during their difficulties, he would steal her phone and keep her from reporting. That's what I know about the situation. Now I think she's back to a situation where she cannot have contact with him. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where she could what?
No longer have contact with him, the ex-boyfriend.
Well, that was the situation that I thought I imposed the first time.
That may be the case, Your Honor. I don't have any further
Miss,
details.
right, can, Miss Chang, can y'all, somebody give me her original sentence right quick, please?
Your Honor, the original sentence is that she's to have no harassing or violent contact with Jonathan Rivera.
All right, where's Jonathan now?
He's no longer in my life.
Oh, no, that's not good enough. Where is he?
Oh, he's still in the same location.
Where are you? Where are you?
I am in the same area, but not in the same, like, distance.
Where do you-
Okay, and so you were unable to come in at any time and report.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a job?
I was working side jobs like construction.
Okay, were you working construction with him?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so when you were working, you didn't ever think to come in and report or let your probation officer know what was going on?
I didn't have a phone at the moment, and I wasn't like, he wouldn't let me out of his sight for some reason. I wasn't sure why.
But he would let you go to work.
Like, because there were side jobs we had around the neighborhood that I would help out with.
But he wasn't standing there watching you.
No, but he would send like little females to be watching me from a distance.
What?
I don't understand that part either, ma'am. That's all I've been noticing from him, and he's been distant, but he would still watch over me, like if he had an obligation to.
Ma'am, you had an obligation to me to report for probation, to complete your family violence intervention program.
The times I did report, they said that there was a specific number that they told me to call. I wasn't sure if they came and told John that I reported every time.
Ms. Chang, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, probation recommends that 30 days be revoked and close the case.
Okay. Ms. Ramos, this is hard because you present in the nature of someone who's a victim of domestic violence, even though you were convicted or were pled guilty to the battery. But the whole point is, ma'am, that it is a form of domestic violence for somebody to tell you what you can and cannot do. You're a grown person.
Honestly, ma'am, he tempts, like he scares me a little bit.
Okay, then why did you ask for no violent or harassing contact?
Oh no, that was the first time, but then I started seeing he started getting a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more like just doesn't want to deal with me anymore. So like I didn't know what else to do, and he's always watching me.
And he's still always watching you?
When I'm around, yes.
Okay, then there's no place else you can go?
My mother, that's in Covington.
Well, you might, once you finish with this, you might want to relocate because, and when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. You knew what the situation was and you were still like, okay, I'd rather have no violent or harassing contact. Okay, I'm going to go by your word, but you're the one who knows what really is the problem. If there's alarm bells going off saying, I'm a grown person, but I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything, he doesn't want me to even report to probation because, and I'm risking getting, spending time in jail, bing, 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 red flags, alarms. There's other people out there. He ain't the only one who will ever love you. And that's not love. Somebody who abuses you, who restricts you, who tells you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't wear, who you can see, when you can see them. Well, baby, I'm just trying to protect you. That's not love. That's domestic violence. You would do better by yourself than having somebody, quote unquote, protect you in that way. We clear? Okay. So if you find that he's still around, report him to the police and make sure you get away from him and watch out for yourself. Okay? Because, you know, somebody gonna have send little females to watch out for me. What? For real? I'm just saying, Miss Romo, if you don't watch out for yourself, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You plan on spending the rest of your life having him look over your shoulder and tell you what you can and can't do? Do you have kids?
Yes, I have an 11-year-old daughter.
Do you have an 11-year-old with him?
No.
Okay, so don't teach your 11-year-old that this is okay. You got me? You're modeling what your daughter is going to get into when she's older. Don't teach her that this is okay. Don't teach her that it's all right to have a grown person be restricted in what they can do, what they can say, where they can go, because there's another grown person telling them what to do, say, or where they can go. That's not appropriate. Where's your daughter now? Who's watching her?
My auntie.
Okay. If she's stable and in a good place, then don't disturb that. Let her be in a good place. Let her go to school. Let her get what she needs. Let her be the person she needs to be until you get yourself together. We clear? Because you're not together yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're 27 years old. You work in site jobs. What is it you want to do that's going to give you some stability?
I want to become a nurse.
Okay.
And I've been trying to work my way there, but you know, we have to pay all the bills and stuff.
I got you. Start with community colleges. It's Atlanta Municipal College, Atlanta Tech Area Tech, and there are colleges out here that have programs because they're looking for people with nursing degrees or with carer backgrounds. Okay, find a job in a place where you start out as a tech, where they train you to do some of the things that you're going to learn in nursing school. Those are the things that you need to do. But please don't go back, because what we tend to do is go back to what's familiar. The first time somebody tells you they don't like what you're wearing and you can't wear it anymore, the first time somebody tells you you can't have contact with a family member, or the first time somebody tells you you have to be home at a certain time and I'm timing you, and if I call you, you better pick up, red flags, walk away. We clear? Because those situations never end up good. Why does he get to tell you what to do, but you don't get to tell him what to do? All right. So, Mr. Taylor, anything else for Ms. Ramos?
Yes, Your Honor, just that we'd ask that she be credited for the 11 days that she served in custody so far towards the 30-day.
All right, I'll do that. So, Ms. Ramos, I'm going to give you credit since the date of lockup, but I'll revoke 30 days. And then we'll close the case. But please remember, ma'am, you too old to give up your life because somebody is telling you they love you. That's not love, okay? And if it feels restrictive, if it feels like you can't be a full adult, then that's not the relationship you should be in, okay? Now, there's an old saying that old folks always say, you can do bad by yourself. Why would you do bad with somebody? All right. All right. So you're going to go back with the sheriff's office after the service of 30 days. Your case will be closed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
All right, that was it. Let's see what time. Yep, it's about that time. Hold on a second. Every time I see a comment, I end up getting distracted, so I lose where I'm at. I love Judge Hayward. I think she's steadily become one of my favorite judges. I think this girl likes to play naive, but also think she's in a crummy relationship and she's got to figure that out. I learned a long time ago not to not to criticize females in the relationships they get in, so I'm not going to get involved in that at all. So I'm going to let you guys go for tonight. Thank you guys so much. We had an incredible stream in Judge Fleischer's court today. Good stream tonight. Thank you, Biggin, and all the Raiders that come from there. I greatly appreciate you guys coming over. I know y'all have fun over at Biggins, and I appreciate that y'all come over here after that. So thank you guys so much, and let's get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Somebody